Morning, colleagues. Good morning to the viewers out there, and good morning, everybody. We welcome this opportunity to be able to interact with the South African public on matters of concern for them and for the rest of the country. I here represent the Portfolio Committee on Land Reform and Rural Development, a committee that is mandated by the Constitution to deal with issues related to land reform and rural development in this country. Well, the Portfolio Committee on Land Reform and Rural Development has continued its intensive oversight to ensure that South Africans and South Africa's reform program fulfills its constitutional promise of justice, dignity, and equitable access to land. Among the matters regarding or requiring the committee's urgent attention are two long-standing challenges that lie at the heart of rural poverty and inequality. One is the failure associated with farm worker equity schemes, and secondly, the persistent backlog in the settlement of labor tenants' claims. Now, these matters are not merely administrative concerns. They affect thousands of South Africans whose hopes for economic empowerment, land rights, and a more secured future were tied to government land reform interventions. They also raise important questions about accountability and governance, and about whether public resources allocated to land reform have achieved their intended purpose. In November 2025, the National Assembly referred to the committee a petition submitted by the Surplus People's Project, Corruption Watch, the Legal Resources Center, and the Support Center for Land Change. The petition alleges that many farm worker equity schemes failed to deliver meaningful benefits to farm workers despite substantial public investment over several years. Recognizing the seriousness of these allegations, the committee undertook a comprehensive process to establish the facts. They included engagements with petitioners, governments, department, provincial authorities, beneficiaries, researchers, and industry stakeholders. The committee also conducted oversight visits to projects in the Western Cape, the Eastern Cape, to hear directly from those affected. Throughout this process, one theme emerged consistently, with many farm workers who had entered these schemes expecting to benefit or even to become genuine partners in the commercial agricultural enterprises and to share in the wealth those enterprises generate. For many beneficiaries, those expectations have not been realized. So the evidence presented to the committee is deeply concerning. One, the government invested more than 700 million rand to establish the farm worker equity schemes. covering approximately 24,000 hectares of agricultural land. Yet many beneficiaries report receiving very little or no financial benefit at all from these investments. In many cases, beneficiaries lacked access to information or financial information for that matter, had limited influence over decision making, and could not exercise meaningful ownership rights. Two, perhaps most concerning, is the department's own acknowledgement that the program largely failed to achieve its objectives. Instead of advancing empowerment and transformation, many schemes reproduced patterns of exclusion, dependency, inequality that land reform was intended to address. The committee further noted that these problems were not new. Reviews conducted over many years identified weaknesses in governance, oversight, transparency, beneficiary participation, and accessibility. Reports repeatedly warned of risks and recommendations, concerns, action, recommended corrective actions. Yet many of these recommendations were either delayed or never actually implemented. Accountability cannot be delayed. The committee is particularly concerned by indications that the state effectively withdrew from ongoing oversight once farm workers had been incorporated into these communal arrangements or commercial arrangements. Evidence presented to the committee suggests that monitoring systems were inadequate, project performance was poorly tracked, and intervention mechanisms were weak or absent. When schemes actually encountered difficulties, there was no one to fall back to. As a result, many communities were left to carry the consequences of failed projects while government lacked accurate information about the condition or sustainability. The committee believes that South Africans deserve a full account of what happened to the significant public resources invested in these initiatives and of whether beneficiaries received the benefits promised to them. For this reason, the committee is of the view that there is a strong case for a comprehensive forensic intervention or even investigation into the implications of these schemes, including the utilization of public funds, governance arrangements, beneficiary benefits, and any evidence of maladministration or financial misconduct. The committee has further requested a time-bound recovery and intervention plan from the Minister of Land Reform and Rural Development. Such a plan must set out clearly actions to assist affected beneficiaries, strengthen accountability, and prevent similar failures from recurring in future land reform programs. At the same time, we must avoid repeating, past mistakes. South Africa requires innovative and suitable models for agricultural transformation. But these models must place beneficiaries at the center, ensure transparency, and provide effective state oversight throughout the life of the project. The committee's objectives is not merely to look backwards. It is to ensure justice for affected beneficiaries, restore public confidence, and strengthen future land reform interventions. The committee has also intensified oversight over the settlement of labor tenants' claims, one of the most significant unfinished, chapter of South Africa's land reform program. For many labor tenants, this process is not merely about acquiring land, it is about securing dignity, certainty, and recognition for families who have lived and worked on farms for generations. 25 years, 25 years after the closing date of labor tenants' applications, thousands of families remain without final resolution of their claims. The committee was informed that approximately 8,000 cases remain outstanding, and some of which actually and the substantial in with substantial investment, and it is estimated that to address that backlog would actually take 8 to 10 years to settle. So many of these matters are complex and will require legal processes before finalization. However, complexity cannot be a permanent justification for delay. The ongoing the ongoing backlog has actually significant implications for tenure, security, rural livelihoods, and public confidence in the state's ability to fulfill constitutional obligations. The committee welcomes the work of the Special Master of Labor Tenants, appointed via the Land Court processes, and regards this intervention as an important means of accelerating progress and improving accountability. However, significant concern remains about departmental capacity, resource constraints, case management systems, and the quality and consistency of information provided to Parliament. What this matters. Resolving labor tenant claims is a constitutional imperative. It is about giving practical meaning to land rights and tenure security. It is about ensuring that people who have waited decades for justice are not asked to wait another generation. It is also about rebuilding public confidence in land reform. A right delayed for decades risks becoming a right denied. Beyond this, successful settlement of labor tenant claims can continue and even contribute to rural development, increase agricultural productivity, reduce conflict over land rights, and create greater stability in farming communities. The committee's expectations. We have called on the Department of Special on the Department, the Special Master of Labor Tenants, the Legal Aid South Africa, and National Treasury to collaborate to ensure that sufficient funding, human resource, legal support, and case management systems are in place to accelerate the settlement of claims. The committee will continue to monitor progress closely and will not accept indefinite delays. The committee, in conclusion, the committee's work on both the farm worker equity schemes petition and labor tenants claims reflects a broader commitment to ensuring that land reform delivers tangible benefits to the people it was intended to serve. The issues before us are complex, we agree, and often rooted in decades of of policy, administrative, and institutional changes or challenges. However, complexity cannot excuse inaction. Our responsibility is clear. It ensures accountability, protect public resources, and advance meaningful redress for affected communities. The committee remains committed to ensuring that beneficiaries, farm workers, labor tenants, and rural communities receive the justice, dignity, and meaningful participation that South Africa's constitution vision demands. I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Honorable Chairman.